Do have the picks and bans available here. Ince, take us through.
So first map is going to be Corrupted Keep, and Raisy, okay, banning Anarchy is going to be BJ versus the Strog. Okay, that's very balanced. Second map is going to be Ruins of Sarnath, a clutch ban. And the Slash versus Scale Bearer. That's also really interesting. A big sort of advantage for maybe Scale Bearer there, if Rohm plays it right. And in the last map, it's going to be Awoken, the Doom versus the Anarchy. Anarchy on Awoken, I mean, it's Raisy, right? He can play whatever he wants. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to see. Like, Rohm, as I said, he has a very, you know, passive, not really passive, but super defensive play style. So I think if he plays Ruined right, it can cause an upset there versus Raisy, because Raisy will want to be, you know, zooming around the map, but with the Scale Bearer, you can literally just camp heavy, and that's most likely what Rohm is going to be doing. And there's no real way for Raisy to try and go into it, but we'll see how it goes, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the clutch ban on Ruins is basically so that Raisy doesn't think about using it on Awoken. I think that's the main protocol, so to speak. I've seen him use clutch and Ruins, but on the very... We're talking a very, very rare occasion. It's not something you normally see, as both players on stage just warming up, getting ready to go into our first game. It is going to be a best of 3. This is the winners bracket round number 3 to go forward to see who's going to be able to make it into the next top spot. And, you know, predictions, I don't know if I should ask anyway, but I'll ask for your predictions anyway. I know what you're like, so I'm going to ask, who do you think is going to come out on top in this one? Are you going to say Raisy straight up, just due to experience?
I think Raisy has no chance in this match. Rohm has it under the bag. He's got this. I'm a Rohm fanboy right now, for sure.
Can never get a serious answer out of you, can I?
No, it's very hard. But yeah, Raisy is definitely the favorite, and I'm hoping Rohm can cause an upset in one of the maps. I'm hoping for Awoken for Ruins to be the map where he caused the upset, but it seems we do have the first map going underway.
Yeah, we certainly do indeed. Just warming up before we go into the game. It will be Raisy coming in with the Strog, and we know how good the Strog is. But BJ is also a good pick as well, so I have to see exactly how Rohm is going to do. So getting underway, starting off from Raisy's POV to see exactly what mischief he's going to get up to from the get-go.
So small delay already on the Mega, just making sure Rohm does not know the timing exactly. Just looking for him. I think he assumes Rohm already took it, but Rohm has no real way of knowing when Raisy will pick up that Mega, and it's at 20. Very, very late pickup. So Raisy trying to establish, you know, already a good rotation in the next 10 seconds. So now he should make his way to the heavy after picking up this light armor. Let's see.
It's definitely his best map, especially back in the Quake Pro League.
There he is, going to the heavy. And Rohm, where is Rohm? Oh, he was trying to get the Mega while Raisy gets the heavy, but Raisy delayed the Mega so much that Rohm is already kind of screwed in this first fight. He has to run away, and Raisy, as I said, is already establishing the dominance in the items. But
yeah, just a little bit of a shame now, of course, he didn't hear the audio cue earlier on because he left it so late, making the assumption again that Raisy may have picked up straight off the bat. But coming with the peeking now, did a little bit of damage onto the Tri-Bolt side, and Raisy now just slowly just teetering around underneath him, just to... Again, just showing that map presence and that map dominance to say, this is my heavy, but don't forget that Rohm does have that height advantage, but isn't really going to go in for that contestation, which is understandable to a certain extent here.
Oh, the drop down. Rohm trying to hit with the rockets. Doesn't do that much damage, because now the items are there for Raisy right after. Oh, he spawns right in front of Raisy. Raisy will he try to push the choke point? Decides not to. Very conservative option, and probably the right one, because Rohm had the nail gun out in that choke point. Could be devastating, especially on LAN servers.
Yeah, it certainly could indeed, and of course with Rohm not doing a huge amount of damage after that first initial death, it does mean that it's going to be a nice clean frag for Raisy, and he was able to continue that aggression into the red room now. So currently, Raisy with a huge stack, 2 minutes in, Rohm just holding his own at the moment, goes straight on in, Raisy still with the LG, just standing his ground, was going to back away and just prioritise the items once again. They're going to eat up that light, pick up the Mega next, and still got perfect timing of it so far, as he's going to try and go through it around the flank, eats up another light, and really just making Rohm's life a misery at the start of this first map.
Pretty much. Rohm can't even pick up a light arm because Raisy is sweeping all of them up, and he's doing this really good rotation, you know, before, like 15 seconds before a major item. He just goes and tries to go for a fight so that he can then stack up, and going for another close range fight, 2-0 for Raisy. And Rohm, what will he do with this? So far he hasn't tried to attack at all. He tries to come in here for a bit of damage, but realizing that maybe needs to try and get the order of the items, some timing on them, but Raisy doesn't even allow him to get that. just keeps circling the map, and Rohm is usually on the other side when he's taking the item, so Rohm might be a little bit too passive. Oh, and just it's all the damage going in favor of Raisy, really. I think Rohm really only got the first heavy, and that's about it.
Yeah, I think earlier on he knew he didn't have the weapons in his arsenal to take the fight from Mega, but just wanted to get at least a bit of a timing on it so he knows exactly when to contest it later on, which is perfectly understandable. Again, Raisy keeping track of the lights just to make sure that Rohm can't really get back to any kind of default stack. He does take a bit of damage, some great rockets there, dropping down on the heavy machine gun. Is he going to be able to corner him off? He's still keeping the high ground though. Good LG, and again, managed to take it down. 4-0 now for Raisy, and just managed to pick up the Mega with the heavy coming up now.
So much damage. Even then, where Raisy didn't have that much stack, and Ron just spawned, Raisy still looking to damage him right off spawn so that he can't, you know, build anything. And I want to see how long will Raisy be able to focus, because he's sweeping all of the lights. Now he knows that the other light's going to be up, and Rohm is trying to fight for light. He finally got one of the lights. Can he get the frag on Raisy? Oh, and that is so close. 10 HP remaining. Yeah, he can definitely make a push at the heavy, right? Let's see. He's already there, and Raisy this time giving some respect to Rohm, knowing that he doesn't need to risk his life.
No, he doesn't at all, just, you know, covering all corners at the moment. Good bit of damage to the rocket, another great rocket there as well. Using the shovel to try and finish things up, but it looks like he's going to do it. The peek in, nicely done there, 6-0.
There was 2 rockets, 70 damage each, then another one, and then 70 damage more. There was like 300 damage that he did to Rohm there. That was a good move by Rohm, but the damage output by Raisy is completely unmatched. He keeps landing the shots. It's very hard for Rohm.
Yeah, it's a shame because Rohm actually delayed the flank up to rockets for a very long time, and Raisy was still well aware of that. He knew at some point he's going to have to push it from that side because he had the audio cues from top mid. Still, 6-0 now, almost at the halfway point. Man. Make that 7 onto his name. And he does have a peek in his back pocket, putting him down into Red Room straight off the bat. And there we go. That's going to be 8-0 lead here for Raisy. Just not letting up at all.
Yeah, we're seeing top form Raisy here. It's very scary already for all the opponents watching this game, because they definitely are, to see what kind of shape Raisy is in. And so far, he's not giving anything to have the chance.
Nope, no chance at all, especially with the amount of damage with that peek. I think he was waiting for him just to run into him at some point, but instead just, you know, took his time, did well with the damage. He knew it was directly underneath him, so he wasn't going to be able to be in position. He was to clean him up, even if the peeker was still alive and still around. Good rockets again in the Red Room. 10-0 now, and Rohm is trying to look away to try and survive at the moment. Maybe already thinking about the second map.
Possibly, because this is a map, like, I mean, as we saw from the start, Rohm didn't have the good start in it, and so far he still hasn't really managed to get a grasp in the item control. There will be some very interesting item control stats at the end of the game to look. So I think we can count how many items Rohm got in one hand.
Yeah, one finger, probably.
Just that initial heavy.
Yeah, literally, yeah, that's literally the only point it's been. But all about, you know, it's all about
all of the damage. Like, all of the predictions Raisy is doing are correct. All of the rockets. It's a lot of free damage. Very hard to compete against that.
Yeah, all the little things is great, and a massive impact in the long run. That 10-second delay with the Mega at the start, it just shows what Raisy's plan was from the get-go. As we're 6 minutes 15 in, 11-0 so far. Pika again, about to come out to sign, finally feed himself some info, finds him in that Red Room. Assuming that he may be a little bit predictable going through the door frame there on towards the Mega, but it looks like Rohm has decided to turn back around. Does have height advantage, but the problem is he should be able to get a first strike in. Yes, he does. That was fantastic stuff. And we have to talk about that little archway. Raisy sometimes abuses that to no end and how difficult that can be. But Rohm does get the first frag, but Raisy is still on with the 11 frag lead.
Yeah, you know, we're talking about the little arch, and Rafa said that Raisy is by far the best player in that little arch. And there, Rohm actually able to get the frag, but Raisy clapping back with 2 more frags, showing that he's not afraid to fight him, and Rohm not having the best day right now.
No, not at all. I think that's an understatement, isn't it, at this point, which is a little bit unfortunate, as, you know, we'll be going to Ruins and Awoken straight afterwards. But the good thing about Rohm is that he is thinking about the long, you know, the long game, and he knows this series could go to map 3 depending on the circumstances of Ruins, and considering that's why he banned the clutch earlier on. He's not thinking, but, you know, it's not just going to 2 maps. As a dual did come out for Rohm, but still couldn't really, you know, a little bit worse for wear there. Couldn't really do much in that circumstance. A huge stack, or a big enough stack to continue the aggression here from Raisy, coming up with the LG. Good damage once more. Rohm takes him down again. And Mega's picked up once more. more, and again, continuing this destruction.
Yeah, the rocket dodge from Raisy there was really, really good as well. Rohm unable to land any point of damage. That's been the biggest thing in this game so far. Like, Raisy is doing all this damage, but without taking any either. Even here, he took 0 points of damage, because he's just pressuring the right places and putting Ron into very uncomfortable positions most of the time, where it's very hard for him to deal damage.
Well, this is it with Corrupted Keep, isn't it? Once you get a number of clean frags, you can continue piling on the pressure, where some other circumstances you have to pick up the lights or do the recovery rotation in order to, feasibly continue with his performance. Stroke comes out again, we'll find him, does a fair amount of damage there again. He's going to look to turn back around to see if he can go for an initial flank in case Rohm does go there, but he does not. He continues pursuing towards the rocket, still needs to get the weapons in his arsenal there. But usual work here for Raisy, still got that huge stack in the red room now, and just going to pile on the pressure a little bit more of the LG, literally just a slimmer of health. He gets taken down at 19-1.
Yeah, and I mean, it's gotta be rough for Rohm, because this is his first time on land. It's now the first time playing on stage, and he has to go versus this legend of Quake champions that is Raisy, right? I would be shaking. I mean, Raisy would be shaking if he went versus me, but, you know.
I'm sure he would, mate. I'm sure he would. You tell him that after the match ends. And we'll see what his response is going to be. Yes, we've got 1 minute left at the moment. It's all said and done here as Rohm now is probably just thinking about the second map.
As a wise man would say, there is still time.
There is always still time, but you can't defeat the realms of possibility, though, can we?
There is time, but there might not be hope.
I would agree if it wasn't mathematically impossible.
Oh, Ron goes back down to 0. So Raisy taking back the frag that he gave away earlier, not allowing to be any shred of doubt in this score.
Yeah, it could be worse, could be -1, in that sort of circumstance.
Game's still not over.
There's only got 20 seconds left as Rohm just pick up the Mega, but we're not sure if it's going to do him any favours here. Is Raisy just waiting for him, or daring for him, to come out from the LG spot, but have to see exactly what happens. But the peak is going to come out, I'm sure, yeah, he's going to use it straight away, but does get taken down straight away as well. We are to, well, technically get that first frag. No, he will not, so it'll be 22-0 here for Raisy. But again, that's not really too much of a surprise. We saw it, there's not really too much in terms of talking points there. As you can see, only 8 items for Rohm there, and it's a complete opposite end of the spectrum there for Raisy. But for Rohm, no, this is the problem you see. Like, it's just the first initial start, wasn't it? The 10-second delay with the Mega, and then it just changed everything. And he, even though you couldn't see the timing of it, it did throw him off quite a bit.
Yeah, it was the assumption, because, he's a player that doesn't like confrontation a lot, so he decided, okay, I'm going to go for the Mega while he goes for the Heavy, so we don't have to fight yet, and then we'll eventually fight where I want to fight. And that did not work out in his favor, because as we see here on the replays, most of the fights were just Rohm getting caught off guard. But yeah, that initial assumption was the start of Rom's demise there.
Yeah, when you're playing against a player of Raisy's caliber on his best map, and probably one of the strongest champions on that map pick as well in particular, that you wish you're going to see better days considering the position he was in. The only thing he could have done is that if some of the bouts which Rohm took were a bit more scrappy and was able to get a bit more damage done, could have seen something a little bit more different. Like, Raisy wouldn't be able to put as much pressure on due to the fact that we wouldn't be as aggressively, approaching his opponent. But it just seems to be the case, as you rightly mentioned as well, just caught him off guard on numerous occasions.
Yes, as we're seeing now. I mean, this is going to be a long highlight reel, because Raisy got so many frags.
And Raisy real at this point.
Yeah, it's Raisy's real. I mean, Rohm did get his frag, which I'm hoping we'll eventually see. Oh, there it is. There's Rom's frag.
But I did like that as well with the Rockets in that one spot, because how many people, we've seen Wenger do it, we've seen Raisy do it. Like, those two in particular abused that archway around Mega so much, and trying to like whip out the LG to try and take a duel against them. But because they're just abusing the map geometry there, it's very tough to compete against, especially even with the high ground.
Yeah, definitely. So Rohm only got that one frag, but it was a very skillful frag, and I give him 20 points. So final score 22-20.
So it was actually a much closer affair than we expected.
Yeah, much closer than we expected. So now we will head off to Ruins, where the match should be a lot closer. It's going to be Raisy with a slash and Rohm with the scale barrier. That one is going to be very interesting, because if Rohm plays it right, if he plays on the heavy, because like if they fight on the Mega, Rom's screwed there. Like Slash just runs over scaling the Mega. It's very open, very easy to shaft the scale variant there. But if they decide to fight on the heavy, it's very rocket heavy, and Scale can use his ability to its full extent there. That's where Rohm should be focusing on when we go into Ruins. And I think we're going to see a different thing there.
Yeah, we certainly could do. I did speak to a lot of the pro players at QuakeCon, you know, about the difference in matchups in terms of the champions in themselves and like how different it is in LAN and completely. And yeah, if someone created a tier list between, you know, what the champions are online and then the champions on LAN, it's entirely different. I think a lot of people didn't expected a little bit of a gap, but I don't think they expected the gap to be that large in comparison.
Yeah, like heavy champions on LAN are usually a no-go.
Yeah.
So Rohm showing his inexperience a little bit here with a heavy pick, and I think after this match he will be like, oh, this is why pros don't pick heavies on LAN.
This is exactly it. And you know, for the Slash versus Scale Bear matchup going out of, you know, outside the whole tier list category, because I suppose we could go on for days about, you know, the tiers of like how the champions could be like in a LAN environment in comparison, is that, you know, for the Slash as well, for Raisy, we know that he's going to have to play the range game quite often than not, depending on like how good his stack is going to be, especially right at the very beginning as well, because he wants to avoid that bull rush. We know that online the bull rush is just an absolute terror, isn't it, in comparison to LAN? It's very, very tough to deal with online, but on LAN it's a lot more bearable in comparison, you know, in terms of like the hit registration and everything.
Yeah, because you can actually dodge it a lot more, right? Yeah. Since there's no ping affecting, you can see it coming and you can visually dodge it, and you will, I mean, avoid the damage, and that's why Rohm has to play this extra careful. He cannot be caught off guard in like the Mega area or anything. He just has to play the heavy side. Just grab a rocket or a shotgun, stay there. And even if he respawns, just go there, because he spawned with a lot more stack than Slash. Slash needs to be like getting all of the major items for her to contest with Slash Scale Bear's initial stack, and as we say that, we're getting underway onto the second map of this matchup.
Fight.
And if he doesn't hit him with the bull rush often, he can always contest the items with the bull rush anyway. We've seen it plenty of times. And it's like I said before, you know, with the Slash, you need as many major items as possible in order to be able to, you know, put into effect your game plan with the Slash as well. Already did a little bit of damage. I think that was 42 there, if my eyesight does not deceive me, as now he's just on the low ground, just getting all the weapons in his arsenal at the moment, which he pretty much has done at this stage. And it's just a matter of what is going to happen next.
You mentioned something important, you know, going for the items with the bull rush. He pretty much exclusively can go only for items when he has the bull rush in this matchup. And this is very good for Rohm, actually. Oh, he goes up. No, please don't go up the jump pad. Oh, he goes up the jump pad.
Yeah, it's not something you want to see,
After taking that damage, he should not have gone up the jump pad. But, you know, he will just have to restack. At least he didn't give a frag away yet. That's still good for him. Now he needs to get that bull rush back up and try to do that again on the next heavy. Probably not the next heavy. I don't think he can get it on time, but maybe the one after.
Yeah. And the items are quite segregated, which means that Raisy does have almost full map control. He has time to contest both these items here. It just depends on if Rohm knows how and when.
Oh, he's getting cut off guard in the Mega area. Okay, he's running away. That's good. He will have the bull rush for the next heavy. Oh, and Raisy, he's relentless. He just keeps chasing. But Rohm actually did a significant amount of damage, which is really good. Even with this Mega pickup, Rohm has enough stack to challenge for the heavy.
And this is what I'm talking about as well. Of course, if your opponent's got a shoe stack after the last death you've taken, then of course they are going to continue piling on the pressure.
Oh, there's the bull rush.
Over it, but it does manage to hit him in the end. 5 HP!
So
barely
close.
Manages to survive, but in the end he does. As a lot of these fights have been quite scrappy nonetheless, and this is what I'm talking about as well. Now, Raisy won't be able to put as much pressure on, but the problem is he has advantage in terms of pick up the items if he keeps that range control.
But this is still good for Rohm. I mean, that frag could have gone his way, sure, but doing that much damage allows him to get this mag, and now his stack towers over Raisy's, and with that rail, he knows he needs to get back to the heavy, and Raisy just keeps. Oh no, Raisy keeps landing the shots. Raisy knows exactly what he's trying to do, and just does his best to avoid the damage. Good damage again there by Rohm. Let's see how he's going to prepare for the Mega now.
Doesn't want to give Raisy the opportunity to go 3 for 3 with those rails.
Will he use the bull rush? There's the bull rush. Oh, he's taking so much damage though, not quite well timed, that Mega. He was off by like 1.5 seconds, and that's 1.5 seconds too long when you go versus Raisy.
Especially with the stack he had as well. It was...
he needed pitch perfect timing on that, and it was not there.
Yeah, it's just a little bit debatable. It's a bit of a shame, though, but, you know, the intent was there. But, of course, like as you already mentioned, it's just that timing there. Is now Raisy with a 3-0 lead. Only a slightly bigger stack at the moment. Mega's coming up in the next few seconds. As Rohm not going to contest that. Heavy is going to be up in the next 12 seconds, 3 minutes in.
And
but
Rohm
he's definitely playing a lot better in comparison, though.
Yeah, it's, like the plan for Rohm will be the same, you know, get bull rush, get rockets or shotgun, and then try to contest the heavy. But since he couldn't get position on it early enough, he couldn't contest it. And now, instead of staying at the Mega, he should go back to the heavy. But instead, he's trying to fight at the Mega, which is way too open for him to fight. He does land a couple of nice shots, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to land any more, as Raisy is already well positioned at the Mega, doing damage with the tribal. It's going to be another easy frag for Raisy.
Yeah, and he had enough stack to at least tank one more rail anyway, even if he had to wait a little bit longer for that Mega, so it wasn't really too much of an issue. As he does spawn Tribal, gets that first rail, backs off straight away. And now Raisy's just going to do a loop-de-loop just to try and pick up all the hourglasses and try and recover just a tad, as Rohm now is trying to look for some lights to his name. Comes straight through, literally daring him, waiting for him to go for the TP. Nicely done it from Raisy. Good prediction from him.
Barely did any damage, though, in the first shot. He did like 9 or 10 damage, so I thought Rohm, maybe if he could have reacted faster, he could have, you know, turned that around, but it didn't work out his way. So 6 minutes to go. And chasing a slash is, you know, almost impossible. So if Raisy loses a couple of frags, it's still going to be very hard for Rohm, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it's extremely tough, especially with the lack of mobility Rohm has at this point. As Mega's going up in the next 7 seconds, Raisy's just prioritising the kill just to see if he can find, or at least get information on him so he can do that as he goes for the Mega. As Mega is going to be up, using the bull rush, but it's not really too detrimental there as he does pick up the Mega. Heavy's up in the next 6 seconds. And I like this from Raisy as well, just, you know, looking at this long-term in terms of the longevity of how he's going to approach this map. Comes out with the gauntlet,
the classic
standard trademark.
Gauntlet, yeah.
Exactly.
I was waiting for it. He didn't do it on Corrupted Keep, but here it is. Every single match, Raisy has to get a gauntlet frag.
You sound like you were a bit sad you didn't see it on Corrupted Keep.
A little, yeah. I kind of expect it on every map, but instead it's only on every match. Only.
Well, does it once per LAN? There we go. That's going to be the one. Well, one of many, potentially, depending on the circumstances of his future matchups. As we're at the halfway stage here, 9-0 in favour of Raisy, and yeah, it's now become not just a tall order, but almost out the realms of possibility here, considering the speed and agility that Slash has in comparison.
And how well Raisy is playing. I haven't really seen a mistake from Raisy yet, which is a really good omen going forward. It's tournament for him. A good bull rush this time around by Rohm. Can he eventually get a frag? Let's see. He's rocket. Okay, that's a really good rocket. Just needs one more. Oh, and he rockets himself. No, Rohm, he goes down to -1. He was very close to getting 2 frags in this map. I think if he actually got that frag earlier, when he left Raisy at 5 HP, maybe he could have snowballed a little bit, but game not really going in his favor.
It would have been at least a little bit of a morale boost, thinking, right, okay, I might be able to do something here, etc. And he had actually had a bigger stack in that little engagement just now in Heavy, but sadly just couldn't solidify. He knew that Raisy had the LG, but and obviously Bull Rush had already been used, so he couldn't make use of that. But the stack difference now for Rohm. Rohm does have a huge stack in comparison. He may be able to switch that -1 to 0 depending on the circumstances. It literally gets the Mega, times it perfectly, but of course he can't push due to that trail there.
I'm really curious to hear like Raisy's thoughts on the scale pick, especially on LAN.
Yeah, it's not something we are used to, like on LAN, are we, compared to an online environment? So, yeah, it would be something which I'll be curious to see what he would think in terms of his opinion on this matchup alone. But
he does get a frag, so I mean, he goes to 0.
Don't know, you take anything as it comes at this point.
Yeah. And Raisy is just, you know, wow, that was a sick. Okay, he's winning now. It's 10-1 to Rohm. That frag is worth it. Oh, he's gonna get into the bull rush. No! How did Raisy get that frag?
I don't know.
How did he get that frag? That's a robbery there. Rohm should have like 4 frags in this match.
So it's 11-10 now, according to you.
No, if he should have 4 frags, he's with like 40-10 or something. I don't know. That's how the math goes, really.
Well, considering I studied maths, like I still completely throw me off. So currently,
math is subjective, okay?
That's
true. That's what I'm saying.
That is true. That is true. 2.5 minutes left. Still got a 9 frag difference, but yeah, it's pretty much all said and done here at this point. Is Raisy just adding more to his tally. Going to pin him down, hits the first rail. Is going to look to try and do a little bit more. Misses the second.
He missed the jump pad rail.
Frag, but even though he's got a bigger stack, but it does not matter. Of course, the weapon's still in Raisy's favour. Mega's already up. Heavy's up the next 15 seconds, and looking just to close this out nicely.
Raisy's just playing very solid. I'm looking forward to seeing Raisy throughout the rest of the tournament, to seeing if he can, win this tournament or how far he will go.
Don't jinx it.
I mean, he already did, right? He was talking about being second in the player interview earlier. So he's aware of that. So at which point does that actually start affecting you? And then it's, the results, the previous results actually making you get second place because of that. At which point does that start happening?
I've known some players like that in the past, and it's just in terms of your mental state, really. It's like you may get a player who's had so many second places, but it makes him try harder or makes him work harder for it. Or some, it can just be demoralising and go like, what more can I do? But the thing is that he's been so close so many times. It really is heartbreaking. If you're a Raisy fan or not, you have to understand from his perspective, like how harsh
he wants to win. But
yeah.
I think usually people when they get second place, they get usually a bit more sad than if they were to get third, because second place you finish on a loss, right? And third place you usually finish on a win. So I think players usually see getting third as slightly more positive, weirdly.
Yeah.
Even though getting second you get to the finals, but you finish on a loss, so it's not that great. Oh, Rohm, can he get the kill? No, come on.
He was flying, but the guy was still in LG range after all that. But still don't pick up the heavy yet. His pip's going to be set and done here.
I think we might already have the winner of the best railgun and best shaft trophy.
For what we've seen so far, it wouldn't be too much of a spot. But we haven't seen Max to play yet, so it depends on...
Doesn't matter.
What he can... Oh, it don't matter now, does it?
No.
We've already seen one match so far. But yeah, 19-1, it's going to be soon to make that 20, as he does. 17 HP left, 15 seconds left to go. And that is going to be it here in this winners bracket round 3 matchup, as Raisy will be taking this series 2-0. Unfortunate for Rohm, but you know what, he put up a decent fight or some scrappy fights in some areas, and this is his first LAN. So, what a way to, have your first LAN, especially on the main stage.
Exactly. For Rohm, this is all, experience gained, and there's definitely a lot of points where he can grow. 55 LG, that's what Raisy had at the end. I mean, he's going versus Scale better, right? On LAN, he's going to be hitting a lot. And I'm really curious to then, after this, to talk with both Rohm and Raisy, see what they thought about the tank pick on LAN. Because I think Raisy is going to be a little confused about it. And Rohm now, I'm not sure if he's going to keep picking heavy champions on LAN anymore. Because, this is LAN servers. And the heavy champions are very easy to hit in here, as we see all the frags coming. I think this was the first frag, was the one that was really close, right? Okay, no, the second one was the really, really close. Here, when Rohm tries to bull rush into him, and he almost gets the kill. He just leaves Raisy with 5 HP. I think that could have changed the game a little bit. Maybe snowballed in a couple of fights for Rohm, but he tried his best, and sadly for him, Raisy is the best. He's really, really good.
Well,
Raisy was definitely playing, a really good match. Even for Raisy, he was not playing average at all. He was really focused, playing his absolute best. It was a joy to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Raisy's one of the best in the world currently. He's had numerous second places, like in major tournaments, and Rohm knew it was going to be a tall order. He knew that he's going to be in for a bit of trouble here and there. So he knew, and even the trademark gauntlet came out, which is not really too much of a surprise here. But for Rohm, no, we said it before back in the introduction as well. We said that for the Spanish community here at KeenCon in Barcelona, it's nice that they get the opportunity, a chance to play these players, just to understand exactly how to improve their game if they're new, amateur, or if they've been around for 20+ years and just de-rusted and just trying to look to see exactly how to improve their own game.
What I want to see from this, from Rohm, when he goes back home, or even before he plays the next match, is for him to analyze the VODs and to see what he can take from this, because this is a really good experience. Playing versus Raisy online is one thing, but playing versus him on LAN and being able to get the feedback from him directly or other players that are here at the tournament is so much more valuable. And I think he's going to grow a lot as a player because of this.
He certainly will do. You know, with the amount of competitions he's competed on online, he's shown a lot of devotion and dedication to the game. And people got to understand, like, you know, 20, 25 years ago, it was possible to, you know, get a very high placement at a LAN in a LAN environment or a LAN event. But nowadays, because there's so much competition, and especially if you're a new player against some of the old guards who've already, like, you know, got that huge amount of veteran and dual experience, it is very tough, especially in a game like Quake.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, as we were talking earlier, these kind of LANs are not so common anymore in esports, because it's all...
I wish it was more common, though.
I wish, yeah, because, you know, if you have an open LAN, the best player there is going to win it. But when you have the closed LANs, it's still good, but I prefer open LANs, definitely. A million times. So much better.
That's when I know you're old school, but you prefer open LANs.
Even though I've never gone to open LANs myself, because I started, you know, esports quite late when I was already 17.
You never competed in an open LAN?
Not that I remember, no. I think all of the LANs I've been to were qualifiers.
Oh, okay.
Or, you know, invitational LANs. But these open LANs are so much better.
I think you just probably came probably about 10 years too late, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely. I started esports when I was like 17 already.
And so, what are you now, 40?
Yeah. 57.
Yeah? Oh, nice. I thought so, I was just making the assumption, but I'm glad
good,
I wasn't too far off. So we do have an interview with Raisy over in the mix zone.
So, Raisy, congratulations on winning the match. What are your thoughts about the match? How did you feel while playing against Rohm?
Thank you very much. I felt very comfortable playing on the stage. I tried to play champions that are quite fast with movement, just to have a feel for it on LAN. You know, it's always a little bit different compared to playing online, and I feel like I'll do well.
Great. You got a lot of frags. I mean, it was a highest score in both maps. So for the next rounds, I think that you maybe find other opponents that may be more consistent and maybe more difficult. But how would you set yourself trying to beat them? How would you? What would be your strategy in the next games?
Well, my next opponent is going to be the winner of Xanaku versus Dramis, and I have been practicing a lot with Xanaku, so we kind of have a feel for each other, like how we're going to be approaching the match. Against Dramis, if it happens, then I also played against him quite a lot, especially during study tournaments, for example. So I'm also familiar with how he plays and what he's comfortable with, so I will have an idea on how to approach that game, if it comes down to that. I'll just do what I usually do, play my way, and then see if it happens, if it works or not.
Great, thank you very much. Congratulations again, and we see you on the next round. Thank you very much. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, so from the interview, Raisy's just, you know, just going to play his own game. He's not really going to change anything until he knows otherwise. And I think it's going to change up a lot more. When he goes to the winners' semis and winners' finals, that's where we're going to see him elaborate further on how he's going to change things up in some of the matchups.
Yeah, definitely. And you can see he's starting to try and get ready with, you know, the fast champions. So that already shows an inclination for faster champions and light champions over the heavy champions. And this is good. Raisy he's hitting, he's playing fast, he's focused. That's the Raisy we want to see.
Yeah, it's interesting with his champion picks as well against Rohm. I wasn't too sure if he was going to play some like really off-meta picks just to kind of not give anything away with what he plans to do here at KeenCon, but it does seem to be the case at this point.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to care much about what others think of him. He just, you know, wants to play his best, because his best is usually better than everyone else.
Yeah.
So that's enough. You don't need to try and be sneaky with that when you're that good.
Yeah, perfectly understandable. And yeah, there's only certain points really, like, you know, with the champion picks as well, we saw, but you know, we were talking about the scale bow, we were talking about the heavy champions on LAN, just in general, and yeah, you're probably right, you know, Rohm probably wasn't really too sure about it because it's his first time on LAN on Quake Champions, so didn't really get the memo about, like, you know, the difference in terms of, you know, everything with the heavy champions, obviously with the hitbox, the registration, for example, the ball rush, etc. So, you know, I think he's definitely going to learn that, especially after this event.
Yeah, for sure. Even during this event, I'm not sure if he's... I think he's going to be favoring, you know, faster champions going further now in the tournament. I don't expect to see another scale bearer pick from Rohm unless he's like against another heavy.
Yeah, or if it's on Veil.
Yeah, if it's on Veil, it can definitely
something
happen.
like that. That's the only ever time I can witness in that kind of situation.
Yeah.
Because we do see a lot of kill and scale picks on like Veil, and some you know, occasionally may see like kill on like maps like Insomnia, but there has to be a very strong counter or valid reason for him to make those picks in this state compared to online.
Yeah, like a solid game plan for you to follow. Now, he sort of tried to do that with Raisy, but then he was kind of caught off guard in the mega area at Ruins. And, you know, it could have gone a lot better for him, for sure.
Yeah, instead of coming, just going through the replays at the moment, it's basically been the Raisy montage at the moment. But yeah, that one initial frag you saw there could have been not the saving grace, but could have been a little bit of a factor for Rohm to have a bit of a morale boost, a little bit of confidence just to edge himself out a little bit and play more standard than what he would like to. But yeah, it was just one of those things, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it definitely could have been the start of something slightly better than what it was for him.
It certainly could be, but you know, like for everyone, you know, you've got to start somewhere, don't you? So even though that was an experience in itself, especially playing against one of the best in the world, first time on main stage, first time on LAN, you know, you are, you know, going to have to deal with these kind of situations at some point, but he's dealt with it